everybody. Welcome to my first ASMR Let's Play. I've been watching ASMR videos for about 2 years. And like all of you, I have my favorites. And many of those are Let's Plays. And they're not always the most popular, but I like them. So I'm hoping that if you're here, you like them too. The first game I'm going to play is Dear Esther. It doesn't have much traditional gameplay. It's mainly you walking around, exploring an island, and occasionally you'll hear a voiceover of somebody telling a part of a story, but it's all rather cryptic, and you're meant to play it more than once to try and piece everything together. But we're just gonna play it the once. And if I remember, I might even grab a few ASMR props to play with while you listen. So as we can see, there's 4 locations: the lighthouse, the buoy, the caves, and the beacon. But we'll start at the beginning, at the lighthouse.
Dear Esther, the morning after I was washed ashore, salt in my ears, sand in my mouth, and the waves always at my ankles, I felt as though everything had conspired to this one last shipwreck. I remembered nothing but water, stones in my belly and my shoes, threatening to drag me under to where only the most listless of creatures swim.
So this is Dear Esther. You start by the sea with rather grim weather. You can see there's small boats crashed up against the rocks. Everything just kind of feels neglected. We'll walk up here. You can see this lighthouse. There's no one tending it. It reminds me of the lighthouse in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. See, nature is slowly taking itself back. Weeds are growing everywhere. Let's take a look inside here. Oh, that's right. I forgot you got a flashlight. This is kind of creepy. Okay, well, it's always a toilet. And it looks like somebody had a party. Or Taco Bell. Probably Taco Bell, because no one is coming to this party. Well, let's take a look around what we have. Some maps. Not really sure where. I have a book. I can't read that. Oh, maybe it was a party. Got a deck of cards. Everybody knows the best thing to do at a party is play Go Fish. What's this? A Hebridean history. I feel like I should know what that word means, but I don't off the top of my head. Nothing here. Oh, I got some sheet music on the ground. One of the interesting things about this game is that the different pieces of paper and documents that are strewn about, it's different depending on or it's different from playthrough to playthrough. Can sweetness and honesty find happiness together in a yogurt? Alright. Let's just take a look in this back room here. That wind is creepy. So you can see, looks like the staircase to the top of the lighthouse are not accessible. So we won't be going up there anytime soon. No, it says. Got some science on the wall. Got some hydrogen, carbon, oxygen. At least I think that's what that is. Luminous paint. Glow-in-the-dark paint. I didn't actually know that was a real thing. I'm not much of a DIY type of what the... Okay, that was kind of freaked me out there. Is that a bird or a bat? So, even from here you can see there's a beacon in the distance. And I think that's where we're gonna head. I'm just gonna duck inside here for a bit. Get out of the wind. Some more paint. Well, I'm not really sure what this person's plan was. But it seems they've invested their fortune in paint that they're not even that good at using. I mean, I probably would have just bought some nice eggshell white and covered up all this dirt and probably pigeon crab, whatever that is. Alright, let's get going. Okay, left or right? Going right. I'll take the high ground. You know, even though it's reminds me of Scotland. I spent a month in Scotland, and I forget the name of the body of water I went to, but it looked a lot like this. It's beautiful, but kind of sad, a little melancholy. Alright, well, this path seems to have ended. Let's see if I can... Oh yeah. That was cool. Alright.
Donnelly reported the legend of the hermit, a holy man who sought solitude in its most pure form. Allegedly, he rode here from the mainland in a boat without a bottom, so all the creatures of the sea could rise at night to converse with him. How disappointed he must have been with their chatter. Perhaps now, when all that haunts the ocean is the rubbish dumped from the tankers, he'd find more peace. They say he threw his arms wide in a valley on the south side, and the cliff opened up to provide him shelter. They say he died of fever 116 years later. The shepherds left gifts for him at the mouth of the cave, but Donnelly records they never claimed to have seen him. I have visited the cave and I have left my gifts, but like them, I appear to be an unworthy subject of his solitude.
Well, this must be the... I don't know if this is the Hermit Cave, or if this overlooks the entrance to the Hermit Cave. I'm not sure if you saw, but there was a small blinking light down there. And being that this is a mostly narrative experience, there is no jump button. So I cannot jump over that very small rock. That's okay, we've got other places to see. Okay, and once again, this path trying to make me go down there. Let's see if I can get across on this one. Oh no. No, I fell down. Okay. It's funny, I've always found beaches to be really calming, but I also can't swim. So at the same time, they're actually also quite terrifying. So these are actually, I believe, lobster traps. They look empty. So, I'm not sure how successful they are. Let's keep going. You can see there is some sunlight poking through. But it doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot.
At night, you can see the lights sometimes from a passing tanker or trawler. From up on the cliffs, they are mundane. But down here, they fugue into ambiguity. For instance, I cannot readily tell if they belong above or below the waves. The distinction now seems banal. Why not everything and all at once? There's nothing better to do here than indulge in contradictions whilst waiting for the fabric of life to unravel. I have found the ship's manifest, crumpled and waterlogged under a stash of paint cans. It tells me that along with this present cargo, there was a large quantity of antacid yogurt bound for the European market. It must have washed out to sea. God knows there are no longer gulls or goats here to eat it.
I guess that answers our question about the yogurt. So, this looks like a dead end. That music kind of made me want to curl up in a ball and pull blankets over my entire body and sleep forever. Kind of depressing. But I still maintain that this is a beautiful game. Although it looks like I've hit a dead end here. So I'm gonna backtrack. Try and find another way up. I'm just gonna take a small... here we go. I walked right past this staircase. I'm not sure what that weed is. I can see the lighthouse in the distance. But we're heading for this beacon. Looks like we're back on track.
Reading Donnelly by the weak afternoon sunlight, he landed on the south side of the island, followed the path to the bay and climbed the mount. He did not find the caves, and he did not chart the north side. I think this is why his understanding of the island is flawed, incomplete. He stood on the mount and only wondered momentarily how to descend, but then he didn't have my reasons.
Sometimes the voiceover gives you clues. Sometimes it doesn't.
When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boat, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this: to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
That was ominous. I think he was referring to those cuts in the side of the mountain there. Or the cliff, sorry. You can see the white chalk that he spoke of. And that was to act as a warning that there was sickness on the island. I'm sure Gladheim came. But he also suggested that it was not just a physical ailment. So I guess it could also be a mental one. potential one. I guess we'll see, maybe.
I quote directly, "A motley lot with little to recommend them. I have now spent 3 days in their company. That is, I fear, enough for any man not born amongst them. Despite their tedious inclination to quote scripture, they seem to me the most godforsaken of all the inhabitants of the Outer Isles. Indeed, in this case, the very gravity of that term, forsaken by God, seems to find its very apex. It appears to me that Donnelly, too, found those who wander this shoreline to be adrift from any chance of redemption. Did he include himself in that, I wonder?
Sounds like there's some religious themes that play. Okay, we can see the ship that's crashed. It's wrecked on the rocks there.
Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason, or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life.
So this is the cave that I saw earlier when I was... What is that noise? Sounds like radio static.
I threw my arms wide and the cliff opened out before me, making this rough home. I transferred my belongings from the bothy on the mount and tried to live here instead. It was cold at night, and the sea lapped at the entrance at high tide. To climb the peak, I must first venture even deeper into the veins of the island, where the signals are blocked altogether. Only then will I understand them, when I stand on the summit and they flow into me, uncorrupted.
Well, we have some more glow-in-the-dark paint. Looks like 5 trees, branches flowing down into a root system. Let's look at this one here. Okay, here's some more of the same the chemistry that we saw earlier, and it looks like it's making up part of this tree graphic as well. I don't know what this is. Part of me thinks it's a squid or an octopus. Part of me just thinks it's someone drawing wieners on the cave. Oh well. I'm sure there's one in every group. Looks like we have another tree, or what kind of resembles a tree, but not really. Well, somebody really likes trees, I think. And who doesn't, really? Trees are fantastic. I know this is an ASMR video, so I don't want to react too strongly when things happen, but occasionally I'll hear a noise and it makes me jump, but I'll try and keep myself from screaming. Looks like the sun is trying its hardest to get through. It actually seems a little brighter than it did earlier. But that music really isn't helping change the mood. It's like we've got a little stream flowing down out into the water. A nice little fence someone put up.
I dreamt I stood in the center of the sun, and the solar radiation cooked my heart from the inside. My teeth will curl and my fingernails fall off into my pockets like loose change. If I could stomach, I'd eat, but all I seem capable of is salt water. Were the livestock still here, I could turn feral and gorge. I'm as emaciated as a body on a slab, opened up for a premature source of death. I've rowed to this island in a heart without a bottom, all the bacteria of my gut rising up to sing to me.
On another playthrough, the narrator mentioned a boat without a bottom, and just now he mentioned a heart without a bottom. I don't really know what kind of a boat has no bottom, but if that's what he came here in, it doesn't surprise me that he's crashed. So, I'm not sure if you heard that, but every now and then I get some radio chatter, presumably from that massive radio tower. So we've got a circle of stones here. The center one has this familiar marking on it. Well, this one's a little different, I guess, but there seems to be a pattern of some sort. Looks like there's a path that way. There's another path this way. I think that's towards where we were before. And I'm not sure if I can get up here. But let's go check out this little creek. I was listening to an ASMR video the other day, and I believe it was by an American. I'm Canadian, and I'm not sure if all Americans pronounce it crick, but I say creek. And the gentleman doing the video kept saying crick. It just sounded funny to me. But I'm sure Canadian accents sound funny to people too. Okay, it looks like I can't get up there. It's too bad. like that sound. That reminds me, maybe I'll pull out one of my props here. Like I have a plastic bag that I like the sound of. I figured being surrounded by all this nature, it might be nice to hear some plastic, because there's nothing more natural than plastic. Okay, let's continue. Going into a small valley here. Rock is rising up on either side. You can see a fence up there. Someone built that. Probably so animals didn't fall down here. And people. Let's see where this takes us. It's getting kind of dark. Okay. Well, it looks like if I want to go forward, I will not be going back. So, let's do it. Okay.
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses, and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my Ordnance Survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome brake services. But although I can always see it in my rear-view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
So this is actually the second chapter. I believe it's called The Buoy. And it started off there with another message mentioning a few locations, presumably from the narrators and Esther's life. This makes a nice natural spot to end this first Let's Play. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching or listening. This is just my small way of trying to contribute back to this community, and like many of us, I have problems sleeping, and there are videos and people on YouTube that have helped me with that quite a bit over the last couple of years. So thank you to them, and thank you if you also make videos. Thank you, and if you're just watching, that's excellent too. Thank you for that. But I'm gonna cut this one short now, and I will see you next time in part 2.